Welcome to Open Lid, the podcast from Honens where we dive deep beneath the keys and beyond the stage to uncover the stories, ideas, and artistry that shape the world of piano. I'm your host, Canadian pianist Philip Chu, and I'm so glad you're here because together we're going to explore conversations with artists, thinkers, and creators who remind us what it means to be a complete artist. This podcast is made possible with the generous support of Jeremy Clark and Wolfen Financial. So, if you're ready, let's lift the lid and begin. This is our 5th episode of the Open Lid podcast, pre-competition, which means we're going to meet the last 2 semifinalists of this year's Honens International Piano Competition. To give us a sense of what awaits them on stage in Calgary this October, I'm thrilled to be joined by 2 special people who will share their experiences, insights, and a behind-the-scenes look, not only as competitors, but as winners. Nicolas Namoradze is more than just a pianist. He's also a composer, writer, and a bit of a cognitive scientist. Since winning Honens in 2018, he's been praised for his performances that balance intellect and imagination, bringing his incredible mind to the keyboard. Nico, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a great pleasure to be here, Philip.
Well, we're going to find out if that's true. I'll see if I ask you anything that might even challenge you. And then I'll right alongside Nico. It's such a privilege and such an honor to have 2 laureates from Honens. From the most recent edition, you're going to meet Illia Ovcharenko, our 2022 Honens laureate. Just 21 when he won. This young Ukrainian pianist, if I may say young, brought fire, precision, and fearlessness to the competition stage. And he carries that same intensity now into a fast-rising international career. Illia, thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Man, I think I'll start with something silly. If you could remove a single piece of music from the classical repertoire, you erase it from existence so no one would ever ask it of you again. You'd never have to hear it again. It'd never be requested. You wouldn't hear it as background music somewhere. What would that be?
Such a tough question, I must say.
Classical music, right? There are plenty candidates in other genres, I can assure you.
That's a provocative question.
We can get ourselves into hot water here, but I could live without the 1812 overture. That piece really does not speak to me. Let's put that
doesn't touch you.
Let's put it that way. I think save for the curiosity of the canons, I don't think it has that much going for it. So yeah,
I will probably just mention some couple etudes by Czerny. There are quite many of them, and without a few, I think that's a great answer in terms of not being offensive to anyone. And actually, I'm quite surprised. I've started circling some pieces in my head that, it's been played a lot, but to just erase it completely from the history of classical music, I wouldn't. Almost any of those pieces that I had in my mind right now, and I'm like, maybe some Haynon exercises or Czerny etudes. Without a couple of them, we still have got quite many.
We may not notice. We may not notice their disappearance.
That's true, and many of them are not being played at all.
So I think maybe the best place to start, or one place I'd love to start, is actually where you both won by the end of the competition. Did it confirm something for you that you already knew, or did it reveal something to you that you did not?
Well, for me, the process was interesting because I hadn't been doing competitions when I won. I had kind of taken a couple years off, away from the limelight. I decided not to compete at all for a couple years. Around, halfway through my time at Juilliard, I decided, if I were to win a competition tomorrow, I don't really feel ready for it because I don't quite have the repertoire. I haven't fully matured, or fermented as an artist, knowing exactly what I want to play, how I want to play it, and hadn't felt that I had had enough time to explore my other interests, including, composing and then, pursuing my doctoral research and all that kind of thing. So I had been away from the entire kind of fray of competitions for a while. And, then Honens was the first competition I decided to do after this break. For a number of reasons, I felt like this was the right one. I felt, very fortunate to win. In some sense, of course, I can say that it confirmed the decision I had made, that I wanted to make sure that, I had taken the time to really consolidate my portfolio to some extent before entering such a competition that actually really stressed this idea of the complete artist. And, this whole ethos and philosophy seemed to fit in with the way I had approached it. But at the same time, I think, we shouldn't expect to win any competition. No matter how well one prepared is or how well one thinks one plays, there's always an element of luck.
I am completely different from Nico. I've been participating in competitions kind of those 2 years. I kind of dedicated in a way to participating in competitions. And I've won some second prizes, sometimes being a finalist. And each time I would say it would give me lots of more confidence, I would say, on stage, as well, of course, experience. I would say performing at a competition is the most nervous thing that happens to an artist, and performing a recital with an orchestra is a completely different feeling. And I want to cite my professor, also Ari Vardi, who always kept my motivation going. And he was like, Illia, you just, when I was winning second prize and then probably again second prize, and he would always kept repeating to me, you know what? You just need one first prize. You just need one. You don't need 5. You don't need 10. So the time will come, and it will. So, of course, participating at Honens, I was just so lucky to be there in the first place, and I have to admit, I didn't think of winning after playing the finals. I had hope, of course, as every semifinalist that passes to the Honens probably has. And we are all different. We're all, I would say, really amazing artists, and each one of us has hopes. So in the end, I would absolutely agree with Nico. It's a matter of taste and luck. I just tried to be as fair to myself, as fair while I'm on stage to an audience, to the judges, to show my personality as best as I could. And
if you had not won Honens, what do you think would have been your takeaway then?
When I came to Calgary, when I came to Honens, I was so happy to have been one of the 10 semifinalists in one of the most prestigious competitions in the world. So that already is a boost to your confidence. So I most certainly would have kept going and definitely try to just improve myself, playing artistry. I would just focus on myself and improving myself.
Yeah, for me, the process was a little inverse in that I had really taken the time to kind of prepare for this stage of my life prior to coming to Honens. So, the plan was, now I was entering my competition phase, so to speak. I had done my homework. I had, in the meantime, worked on my doctorate for a lot. I had written a lot of music. I had learned a lot of repertoire. I had been teaching also, so I had done my going away into a cave and finding myself kind of stage of my journey. And now was just to get out into the world and show the world what I had in store. So I was just really lucky that with Honens, it was kind of like one and done kind of thing. I just went and that was it. Otherwise, I would have probably just, done more competitions, whatever else would have been on the horizon then.
And so to win, was there a particular moment where it kind of dawned upon you that actually you'd done it, like that you were in the midst of your career, that you are now in it?
It took a bit of time for me. All of a sudden, like every 15 minutes, you have another interview to do and another thing and another chat and another thing coming into your calendar. And well, at the beginning, you don't even have a moment to reflect.
For me, it was quite a shock in a way. Like literally next day after winning, I just wake up to so many messages from some of the very important and incredible musicians that I've always, sometimes I didn't even know them in a way, never met. and just receiving those wonderful messages. The world turned really upside down to me immediately, kind of next day. And well, I still was in a way just like dreaming. It's a big dream that came true. Um, and I mean, it's just what came right after is lots of concerts, also many recordings, experience that I've never had, and literally with each recital, with each concerto performance, I just started feeling the stage so much better. I just started feeling the audience so much better. It's a literally the whole world turned upside down for me, starting from how I practice, starting how I prepare for concerts, how I perform concerts, like literally everything. And it's just I'm just feeling very happy right now, and I'm just grateful to destiny for that to have happened.
Illia, you won 3 years ago, but it still sounds like you're riding that high. That's amazing.
Trying to stay positive as I can.
You know, the role of self-doubt, or the presence of self-doubt, whether it's in the competition or, as you say, on stage, did that vanish post? It sounds like it almost vanished for you, if it was ever there, post Honens. But I'm curious,
Well,
what does that winning, what did that bolster for you? What does that change for you?
The doubts is a whole different story. I mean, um, I wouldn't connect it to like nervousness on stage, etc. I would say doubts are always there. I think it's normal for any human being sometimes to have doubts about what way you want your career to go. You know, sometimes we really do have to make some choices. And I would say this is one of the most difficult parts in building your career nowadays, because sometimes it's very difficult choices. Sometimes how you manage things is very important. And the whole kind of musical business, before winning Honens, for example, I had no idea how complex it is, how it all works actually. So I mean, that's another thing that sometimes I am in so much doubts about just kind of handling my career and being sure that I may make right choices in some moments. But also having had Honens for 3 years as kind of advisors, they are the people I completely trust, because they literally never failed me. I've said many times that they really feel to me like another family.
Following on from what Illia said, not only is it normal, but it's necessary, because it's only through asking questions that you grow.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the most dangerous things, even setting aside the questions of how to manage one's career, just as an interpreter, is going to a piece and thinking you know it all. I mean, it's a constant dialogue. It's a constant process. Even if you make a recording of a piece, the next day you might wake up and think, the next time I play this, I think I might do this part differently, because it is a constantly evolving process. And where everyone is with a piece is just a snapshot in time. The key, I think, is to use that doubt and sense of searching in a healthy way, and not a way to beat oneself up about it. And it's a constant process, and one that's really endless.
How do you feel when a piece of music is ready for performance?
I don't know what ready means. I mean, joking slightly, but yes, that's the thing. So, I mean, I've gotten used to the fact of not thinking that, okay, this is it. It's set in stone. It's just, this is how I am with it now, and really make the focus a lot more about the process.
I mean, I really cannot agree more with what Nico just said. That, I mean, my feelings when piece is ready, honestly, is when I truly feel free with the piece. Like when I know that, when I'm just actually, in a way, already each time analyzing the piece while performing, each time finding new things, literally like perform it one day like that, second time with completely different, not a completely different interpretation, but with some new things that are very special. And then I would say that you can certainly just go and perform the piece on stage, because I mean, you can do it at home, so why can't you do it while you are on stage?
If you could change one thing, still standard or traditional, about competitions today, what would that be?
No, I mean, if I could change something, I mean, it's not necessarily anymore. First round, Bach, Chopin Etude, one movement of Beethoven Sonata, and that's it. So, I would have avoided all of that that puts us pianists and competitors in a position of performing just 15 minutes and actually puts a restraint on us as artists in some ways, because we know we have 15 minutes to perform and elimination comes, so we got to be just as perfect as we can, and really we cannot really show our artistic skills during that 15 minutes framework. I would avoid everywhere actually this kind of restraint on artists. And what Honens does, I think what also inspired me to take part in that competition is they don't really have an elimination in the semifinals. And that's so amazing. I wish more competitions would have started to do that. Having an opportunity to perform multiple times before an elimination, a wide range program, to be able to show kind of the best of everything you have. Even if today is not my day, I have a chance tomorrow. It still helps your brain to play better on the first day already, because your brain works better when you know you have another opportunity.
I think that Honens really sets the standard in many things that other competitions can adopt. Not only what happens before or during the competition in terms of having multiple rounds without elimination that allows the jury to really see a range. I mean, as soon as competitors have the opportunity to present themselves within one round in two recitals that also includes chamber music and a variety of repertoire, then the incentives and the parameters change a lot. The kind of programming one can do changes a lot. I mean, when I played at the competition, I broke just about every rule that, you're supposed to keep to do quote-unquote strategic competition playing. I played my own music, first of all, which is a no-no. I mean, you're not supposed to play your own pieces at the competition. I just went ahead and did. And I played a very unusual program for a competition. I didn't play the usual kinds of heavy-hitting pieces. I played Bach's Sixth Partita, and, Schumann's Humoresque. It's not the Liszt Sonata or something like that is more obviously wide-ranging in its technical demands. So it was a very cerebral program. And I felt like it worked because that was the competition's philosophy, and it would be great if many more competitions did this kind of thing. Also, I think what more competitions should do is just have the kind of support that Honens provides. I mean, the reason why I came to this competition of all of them is that I felt that, if there was any one competition where once you win, they really support you to start a career, it was this one, with this wonderful artist development program that gave you recordings and management and PR and advice and arranging concerts all around the globe, and this kind of really ideal way to start a career. That's why I came to this competition.
Nico, you talked about the kind of preparation you're doing now for your students, that you're helping your students do through your teaching. And I'm curious, Illia, I'm sure you as well have been doing master classes aplenty since the Honens. Is there a particular skill set that you find is sort of underestimated, that's overlooked?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Pianists generally are terrible at listening to themselves. And one of the reasons for this is that the kinesthetic response of the keyboard is so strong that we actually don't need to hear ourselves to know if we're playing the right notes or not. Even if you give a pianist a dummy keyboard and they play, they will know if they're playing cleanly or not. Unlike a string player, because, if you're playing the violin, the mere feeling of your finger on the fingerboard isn't enough for you to know if you're playing in tune or not. It's not that clear. You have to be listening and always adjusting. But on the piano, it's very easy for a pianist to basically not be listening and be completely, in the performer mode.
Tactile.
And then what happens is that they get lost in this kind of space and they're having a great time. They're playing and then the recording, when they listen back, is nothing like what they thought they were doing, because they were not listening. So one thing I always try to teach the students is a kind of very spacious kind of form of concentration where there is the performer, but there's also the listener. And there has to be a feedback loop between the two. So, part of you is really in it and very involved, but there has to be a part of you that's monitoring the situation, is listening to the hall, is listening to the resonance, is listening to the balance, is making sure that what you're producing is actually what you want. And if it isn't, then you're sending the performer the right instructions to make adjustments as needed. So there has to be a kind of effective feedback loop between these two roles, and so a lot of it is about developing the listener in this.
Actually, in conversation with my colleagues, sometimes I'm having a hard time speaking with them because the only thing they are sometimes speaking about is, I just played 2 wrong notes yesterday. Can you believe that was a great performance? And it's really sometimes quite annoying, and it kind of distracts from the actual music making process. And many students as well, most of the questions that I heard from students came actually about wrong notes, etc., playing brilliant and playing sparkly, etc. Everybody thinks that, well, in order to become successful, I gotta be just so perfect, just like that pianist. And I think it's in a way a wrong assumption, because making music is much more important than playing 5 wrong notes or 2 wrong notes in a piece, and nobody will actually care about that. So that's the thing that I sometimes think students and competitors think about so much, and then actually comparing performers and saying, why did he pass? He played 10 wrong notes and I played only 1.
Amazing. If you could tell the 10 candidates coming in for our semifinals something about Honens, what they could look forward to, about the experience of the competition, what would that be?
I just know that the atmosphere will be truly amazing. I know that they are lucky to meet the Honens team, the people who are in Calgary. They'll be treated so well. All the host families are truly incredible, and they'll be really well taken care of. And I know what an incredible audience they will meet in Calgary and how supportive they are. So I just know how great of a time they will have, and I am in a way feeling very nostalgic in that sense.
Oh, if you want, Illia, I could just take away your prize and you could just do it all again.
No competitions, no.
Everyone in Calgary is just like yet another family, and it feels like one of my homes. I mean, I'm spread around different parts of the world and I shuttle around, but Calgary is definitely one of those places where I feel very much at home. And they're not only going to, have a wonderful experience with the team and their hosts and, make, these new wonderful connections, but also make wonderful friends for life among the competitors as well. And, there's a really wonderful atmosphere. Again, it's something of a cliche when they say, oh, it felt like a festival, not a competition, but it really did. I mean, actually, because Honens really tries to make that happen.
For our new listeners, for listeners who haven't come to Honens before, and in fact may have never experienced a piano competition before, what would you say to them in advance of the competition?
Come and enjoy. Yeah, I mean, these are some of the most talented young musicians playing some of the greatest music ever written. And you'll have the opportunity not only to hear this music, but to hear different personalities and different performers. And it's such a wonderful way to start engaging with the question of classical music and interpretation, because you will hear the same pieces played in different ways. You'll hear different programs. There's so much to compare and contrast, and it's a wonderful way for one to develop one's tastes and preferences and interests if one is new to classical music. You will just be surprised by how wonderful the atmosphere is. So that's what I would say.
No, and I just want to add, and if you feel like you are in a different city or you want to check it out, just go visit the live stream. You'll be amazed by artists, and I'm sure you would want to come either next day or take a flight and fly in because truly the atmosphere there it's incredible and actually indescribable.
Awesome. Illia, Nico, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I'll be there in Calgary in October, so I look forward to meeting you both then. Thank you so much for your time.
Looking forward as well.
Okay, see you both there.
Lovely seeing you both.
Okay, ciao.
Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Ciao.
Nicolas Namoradze and Illia Ovcharenko, 2 laureates of the Honens International Piano Competition. Thanks so much to both of them for joining me today. You're listening to the Open Lid podcast by Honens. Thanks for being here. I'm pianist Philip Chu, and I really want to thank Jeremy Clark and Wolfen Financial for supporting this podcast production.
Because of the one other passion I have, which is free diving. They say, and it's true, that you have to be like relaxed when you go, like to hold your breath and go undersea and so on. At the same time, right before like going down, after you slow down your heartbeats and everything, you have to kind of like wake yourself up again.
That's Italian pianist Giorgio Lazzari, one of our Honens semifinalists. As a child, he often pretended to conduct the music he was listening to. On Sunday afternoons, he'd go to the opera with his grandmother. There, he discovered the power of dramatic storytelling through music. To Giorgio, the piano was and still is a hypnotic and beautiful machine, full of secrets waiting to be discovered. Let's hear more from Giorgio. Thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm great. I'm enjoying the last days of summer in Italy. And it was a beautiful summer filled with different moments, some more relaxing, some more focused, but definitely filled with beautiful music and beautiful musicianship. I played lots of violin and piano with my duo partner, and we played some recitals which were kind of inspired to Italian culture, Italian landscapes, for a festival which is called Musica con Vista, which literally means music with a view. Yeah, totally.
That's my Italian.
A good Italian. So we played some recitals, playing around with Italian composers and pieces kind of connected to Italians or to a vibe of those Italian composers.
These Italian composers, are they names that we might know or some that we may not know as well?
I think so, because it was mainly Castelnuovo Tedesco, which had quite a good time then in the American. And so that was something. And we played also a bit of Respighi, and then a funny version of some caprices by Paganini, arranged for violin and piano by Karol Szymanowski.
Hey, do you feel at all like your Italian heritage? I mean, you're born Italian. Do you find it helps you play Tedesco? Do you find it helps you? Like, do you feel those composers just speak so naturally for you?
In a way, I could say yes. In another way, I think it's something a bit different, meaning that Italian culture has the luck to be so like rich and so like all over the place, basically, because you open the door, you get out of your home, you can just walk around your town, your city, and basically kind of everywhere, not everywhere, obviously, but almost, you're surrounded by beauty, and you have this feeling of being surrounded by this beauty, which can be natural beauty or like cultural heritage or everything. And this way, both if you want it or not, someday you're going to feel that this culture is walking with you on your way. And it's something which I feel enriched me during my years, especially because I was studying in Bergamo for basically till my high school. And I did the conservatory in my hometown. And the high school was in the old part of the city. So all the days I was waking up and going upwards to the top of a hill, doing my studies. And even there, it was so beautiful to see this kind of, even looking like a Greek temple in a way, if you can imagine. It's cool, and it's so inspiring to be surrounded by this kind of beauty and culture. And it's also moving. And that's something I kind of miss when I'm not here, because you can find it, and it's interesting even like to go around and spot what is beautiful, what is the culture in different places. But this feeling of just walking around and being immersed in this historical beauty is something special to me.
Did you understand growing up that it was special?
I did, I think, because my parents and my family kind of emphasized this for me. So I had the feeling, and I was kind of aware that I was lucky to be there. Even though, like, especially when you move out of Italy, then you appreciate it like dozens times more.
Yeah, I think I understand. Everywhere has its own version of a kind of beauty, but some are more beautiful than others.
Yeah, and somehow you can relate more on this kind of beauties. And to go back to your question, somehow yes, because I feel that especially one piece we played by Castelnuovo Tedesco was titled Notturno Adriatico. Okay. And it was basically music
Adriatic evening.
Nocturne, yeah.
Yes.
And so it was basically a musical portrait of a knight looking upon the sea. And you could really like feel this kind of the waves of the sea and the light of the moon. And it's this kind of poetical beauty. This is something beautiful. I think it's one thing which we should look for, especially nowadays, since we are lucky to have internet and it's easy to travel around and to have access to informations, to have kind of a proper knowledge of what is around and to be as complete as possible in a way, in order to then we can have some kind of inner voices, thoughts, experiences to share throughout the music, depending or not depending on where we are from.
Do you like to travel?
I like to travel by train, for example, but just when it works and when I have the time. As an Italian, it's funny because we used to think that Italian trains are the worst in Europe. Then you go to Germany, which to us is like everything is gonna be perfect, and turns out it's not. It's something because they call it like Deutsche Bahn, but they renamed it Delay Bahn. Says a lot.
Has there been a favorite musical journey that you've taken that you felt shed light on a composer, on a piece of music, on, you know, something that you've been working on that was maybe a bit elusive?
I do think that in a way one very special, and I feel it quite close to me, composer is Schumann, and Robert Schumann, since mostly because it's just because of him that I decided just to stick on piano. And I remember like first years was basically I had to anyways practice the piano. And then I started practicing some and studying, learning some more inspiring pieces. And I remember that the first work which I was very connected to was Papillon by Schumann, Opus 2. After that, I said, wow, this instrument can do so many things. It's definitely worth to dive deeper in it. And I was also playing in Düsseldorf and in Bonn because they have like two different Schumann fests. And you can just walk around and go visiting like the libraries, the house where Schumann died. And even this kind of connection is something you can feel in a way.
How did that feel? How did it feel did you like retrace some of the steps? Did you went to the house? Like, what did that bring for you?
I mean, in a way, like close to Bonn versus Andernich, which is the place where Schumann died. And it's just interesting, like even like to go there and to walk and to kind of just have a feeling of what he was writing and to see like the handwriting of him. It's also something I find very touching in a way. And so in the end of the day, when you go and play, it's even more special.
When you're first learning these pieces, these composers, they are larger than life. They feel not human. The way we read about them, you know, we worship them. They're like other, like unearthly beings. I think the first time I realized it was when I saw a video of Stravinsky conducting. And I went, wait a second, like he was a human, like moving in time.
Turns out he was.
Yeah. They were extremely human and also just like beyond exception. You know, like it really brought these kind of the both parts of it together for me.
And that's inspiring, like in many ways, meaning that as I remember, like when I first had the chance to work with a living composer, you have a chance to talk with them and you realize that they drink water, they eat, they sleep.
They go to the bathroom.
And I don't know, sometimes they even like write things wrong. So you can work with them.
Yes.
And that way, the amount of knowledge you can get from them and also the perspective from which you look at the score is different and it changes. And I think it's richer in a way, because then you can also like consider that they are human beings. So even Beethoven, Mozart, Brahms, whoever was a human being, maybe more special than others, but still you can even like take them as a source of like inspiration for something, because if they succeeded in such, so let's call it perfection, or so to say, inspiring works, and it's something which we can like, I don't know, inspire to for our lives.
Would you be willing to share with us your principal teachers, and in particular, tell us maybe one or two? Would you be willing to share with us some of your principal teachers, and in particular, share with us one or two lessons that really stuck with you?
I mean, in a way, I must say that my time with Madre Grazia was very special and very significant, also because I studied with her for such a long time, and I was very young when I started studying with her.
People
And
should understand, 10 years with the same teacher, that is
it's
very
a long
special.
time.
It's a long time.
And so I think from her I learned a lot, especially on what is the duty we have in front of a score and in front of the composers. So basically respect. So how to read the text and how to dive into what is written and even maybe what is not written, but we have to find the way around and understand this. And then now I'm enrolled in a chamber music master, which main teacher is Jonathan Hanner. And with him, I have a feeling that all these kind of things are coming together. And now is the time like to find the way so that all the knowledge is not only pianistical, but you can actually develop a number of sounds and a number of like perspectives to approach the sound and the score so that you can work with different instruments and know more about them. But as pianists, we spend so much time working on the piano part. When you have chamber music, let's face it,
we have the most
we have
work.
most of the notes. So it's kind of a huge amount of work.
Mm-hmm.
And so like really like to spend time in working on like how the piano touch and all these things can relate to the different instrument, different periods, different acoustics is something which develops a new sense of like listening. And my ears are getting more and more refined.
When you talked about your time with Maria Grazia, said the idea is of respect. And so I'm curious, how do you balance like tradition and respect of the score with also your personal freedom, your creativity, your room inside of a score?
I mean, I think the goal is really to find this kind of freedom, which in my opinion should be based any case on knowledge. So on a deep and proper knowledge of the score of the composer. And even these days we are so lucky because we can really have access to a huge number of informations and sources. Even just think about the recordings we can find on YouTube. And this is something also Kirill helped me like in discovering and working on. So like you go back in like the beginning of the last century and you have the luck to, you can listen to how they were playing. And it's kind of different from what we do today. And I don't want to say if it's better or worse, but of course it's different. And some things aged better than something else, I have a feeling. So even like tradition is of course something which we should relate and get into any kind of consideration, but it should be as complete as possible. Of course, it's impossible to know everything about what we play, what we study, but we are so lucky. So we should do something about this.
So another point that you've raised, and I've heard you speak about in your interview before, you talk about the piano being more than a percussive instrument. In your words, it has unlimited potential. When we play music of today, living composers that you've talked about, we know they are drawing, of course, from what is around them, right? The same way we think about Beethoven and the bombs, or for sure Prokofiev and the Industrial Revolution, like all these kinds of the sounds we imagine they hear, believing that piano is capable of any sounds. Do you restrict or limit the sounds you play in Beethoven's music to the sounds of Beethoven's time? Like, do you ever think about, hey, would he have wanted, like, especially in his late sonatas, especially in his late works, like, would you ever think, would he have wanted something else?
I mean, in a way, I think I can say that he wanted most likely something else, especially since you can easily see that some of the, I don't remember exactly which sonata, but there was at least one case in which one note, it was like the lowest note of the keyboard, but was not available on the keyboard. So the only way to do it was like to get out of tune the last note of the keyboard, and then you can have it. And even this is something like looking and moving outside of the box, which shows quite a way of thinking, which we should keep in mind. Then, of course, we could not tell that, I don't know, the fortissimo you can have in Prokofiev or Shostakovich is the same fortissimo you can have in Beethoven. But also one other point one could raise is that the instrument, but also like the holes in Beethoven played, or like at Beethoven's times they played, were kind of different from what we have today. And we have to face this because we cannot like hide ourselves just around like the finger of saying, but Beethoven's time was like, the sound
It
was
was
so
only
soft.
80 decibels.
Yes.
It would never have reached 82.5.
Because I think it's like, again, especially it's something to keep in mind, but then you have to work with it. And in a way you can talk and discover so much about how the composers developed their sound and their conception of sound throughout their lives. So the same dynamic is definitely not meaning the same kind of amount of decibels in
Right.
the pistis, which is quite banal in a way, but still gets the point.
I'm looking at your semi-final recitals, and the first one here, quite interesting. Schubert, one of the last sonatas, one of the Liszt Transcendental Etudes. That should be amazing. A Shostakovich sonata, which I do not know at all. And then, very interestingly, a work by a Ukrainian composer that I really do not know. Ustvolskaya?
Galina Ustvolskaya, she was a student of Shostakovich.
Okay.
And Shostakovich was quite happy, so to say, about her, was very impressed by her musical skills. And even, sometimes, quite often, they were asking around, like, to her if she was somewhat inspired by her teacher. But turns out that was Shostakovich even once said something like, it was not her inspired by me, but me was inspired by her music.
Wow.
And in a way, her music is kind of just diving inside of herself and inside of her time. And it's probably the most unrelated sonata in the entire program. Meaning it's like there's nothing like her before her. And I think even after her, you can get the tension, the kind of brutalism. Same time is so rich and kind of crystal clear in the direction and in the development of the voices and rhythmical and the structure itself.
Looking ahead to the competition, what's the week before going to look like for you? What does your preparation look like? Are you playing a lot? Are you resting more? Are you going for walks? What are you doing?
I mean, first of all, this will be my first time having such a long flight, so I will have to deal with like jet lag and all this stuff. And I mean, what I will try to do is to set myself and to set my mind thinking about the performance. And something I really appreciate about this competition, because it's actually a competition, is that even like little details like that we know when we are going to play, I think can help us in like how we prepare and we face the thing. And for me, it's more like going to a festival, at least right now. I will tell you more about this later. Like as time like the clock is going.
Yes.
And I'm sure like the feeling will change. But again, like I think mostly I will try to set myself and clear my mind, some walks, because everyone says that the nature is so beautiful.
Very nice.
So everyone is recommending really like to walk around, and it's good.
What about right before going on stage? Any rituals?
This is something I learned in a way because of the one other passion I have, which is free diving. They say, and it's true, that you have to be like relaxed when you go, like to hold your breath and go under sea and so on. At the same time, right before like going down, after you slow down your heartbeats and everything, you have to kind of like wake yourself up again, because you have to do something which is
quite
kind of
intense. Yeah.
Yes. And so this is like very unstable balance. It's very hard balance to find, but it's something I'm looking for every time.
After your phenomenal performance, what do you do when you get off stage?
Drink a lot of water. That's for sure.
Hydrate.
That's important.
Then do you need time alone? Do you think back to the performance? Do you want to go out with friends and forget about it? What do you need that night? Or
I think there's like a time of like realization of what happened. I don't want to say that I hate it, but I don't like the feeling most of competitions give to the competitor, and that you go and you play and it's so cold in there, like you have a feeling that you're like on the on the
assembly line,
on the dentist, I don't know, with like a good light, and you're like it is not comfortable, you don't want to be there. But whenever the audience is in there and the audience is like responding to play, the feeling is totally different.
I think you could be excited to come to Honens then. I think you're going to enjoy the audiences. I think you're going to feel their support.
I mean, it's live music, so there should be something live besides like the jurors and the one playing on stage.
Do you have a favorite composer whose music you love to listen to but do not enjoy playing? Like, don't feel an ease playing?
I could say probably Debussy. I listen a lot. I played some chamber music. I played some piano solo, and I have a feeling that I'm still missing something.
Do you have a favorite piece of music not written for piano?
Not written for piano. I'm missing. I think Mahler Fourth Symphony.
I would say Mahler too. We can.
Like Mahler Fourth is like.
And it's amazing.
Have, it's just so much time to listen to the second.
Right. One must have patience. Yeah.
And the fourth is so again, it's so complete and so perfect.
What do you hope Honens audiences, but also audiences anywhere, take away from a performance specifically of yours, of Giorgio?
I think, oh, wow, this is a good question. I would say sincerity, but it's not to be misunderstood, meaning that sincerity to me is the result of so many things. Sincerity meaning that I feel like the urge that I have to believe in what I'm doing, because otherwise it's not going to work. But I think really like the sincerity and the fact that as a human being, you're out there, you're on stage, you're performing, and you want to show something. And you want to show what's your voice, or my voice in this case. At the same time, I think it's a matter of walking together on a path and kind of finding what is progress and like embracing this progress together. And music is live and we are alive and we want to enjoy what makes us alive, which is emotions and being sincere.
It's beautiful. Giorgio, thank you so much for your time today. I've really, enjoyed talking with you.
Enjoyed this chat.
I look forward to seeing you. My pleasure. I'll see you soon. Bye for now. That was Italian pianist Giorgio Lazzari, who you're going to hear at Honens, live and on the live stream, in his semifinal rounds October 18th and 20th. He'll be performing works by Franz Schubert, Galina Ustvolskaya, Franz Liszt, Dmitri Shostakovich, and plenty more.
If I listen to all of my compositions that I've been working on throughout all of these years, there's always a small influence of jazz, sometimes more, sometimes less. At the age of 9, there was some magazine that I gave an interview at. And when they asked me who my favorite composer was, I said Bach, Mozart, and Peterson. And this realization, when it came to me, it hit so hard that I somehow realized that it played a major role.
That's Georgian pianist Sandro Nebieridze speaking about Canadian jazz legend Oscar Peterson. Sandro was one of the semifinalists at the upcoming Honens competition, and he says that on stage, nothing is certain except enjoying the thrill and inviting the audience for the journey, and that's exactly what makes it so beautiful. Let's hear more from Sandro now. Thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting.
Of course. So, Sandro, I want to get right into it. I was watching one of your interviews, and I want to start with a little quote. You say classical music should not be stale. It should not only contain the famous, well-known pieces. You say music is always moving, evolving, it's alive. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about that? Where does that come from? What does that mean for you?
Well, first of all, Phil, thanks again for inviting me here. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to share my point of standing and point of view on music. As for music being stale, I think it's a problem that has been going for quite some time. It's not a new thing, and I don't think it concerns the classical music society only. But this is concerning arts in general. This is kind of in a way of saying that everything that is new is not necessarily good, and everything that is
old is not necessarily bad. I think this is the one line that people are drawing sometimes, not precisely. By having the fear of not being old-fashioned, sometimes we miss out on exploring the niche areas that have been sometimes started upon but never fully explored and never fully touched and never fully seen.
Hmm.
This is the same thing that I would like to tell the audience of the Honens competition, and not only the Honens competition. There's no such thing as borders, and there's no such thing as posing, because at the end of the day, what we share and what we make as artists is just a message. There's nothing else. It all comes down to us being humans.
Hmm.
It all comes down to us sharing very simple and very understandable human emotions.
Hmm.
Because humans, at the end of the day, we can't surpass our own selves. We are made out of what we are made out of. We are made out of laughter, love, hate, fear, despair, hope, all of the beautiful and sometimes scary things. But all these emotions drive us, and these are the emotions that create art, and these are the things that regulate it. So there's no point in searching for something that is not there,
Hmm.
but just conveying yourself as an artist and finding the balance between conveying yourself and conveying the message that, in case of music, the composer intended. I think that's the. I spoke too much,
No,
probably,
no,
but
not at all, Sandro. I think that's really that it was important. I feel like a lot of that really gives a good sense of like where you're at and where you're coming from on this topic.
there's no white and there's no black in there. It's
Hmm.
always a mixture of both, and there's always something in between. At least that's how I feel like, and that's how the experience that I've gathered throughout the years has shown me.
I listened to the entirety of your Sisyphus quintet, which is beautiful, by the way. Well, actually, I listened
Thank
to a
you.
lot of your works. I listened to your toccata, your three excuses. They're amazing, and I don't mean to put any label on them, but I hear so many different kinds of influences, including jazz, or at least a kind of
Thank
jazz,
you.
a freedom of jazz, a freedom of improvisational style.
That I'm going to take as a good thing that I'm taking. That's a compliment, because jazz is one of the biggest influences for me as a musician and as an artist, and as a person as well.
Yeah, I feel like I hear that really clearly, like super clearly. So tell me a little bit about your composition. How did you get started? Have you always been writing? Have you always had this urge to also say something of your own outside of the piano?
So there were three types of Sandros residing in me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
The first the first guy was the conductor guy, who still,
okay.
I haven't realized him yet.
Okay.
Sadly. And he was the reason why I actually started playing the piano, and then I started composing.
Okay.
He was the reason why I decided to become a musician. The second Sandro, sort of like how to say this, like an evolution maybe, was the pianist, which was the first step that I took essentially to become a musician. That was at the age of 5, when I asked my mom to take me to a music school. But already before, I was a pretty huge music gourmet and listening to a lot of operas and symphonies by Verdi and Beethoven and Mozart. But then when I grew up, I somehow realized all of a sudden that parallel to listening to Mozart and Beethoven, there was always Peterson, Oscar. in the
Yes.
background.
Yes,
And
good
Ella
choice, Sandro.
Fitzgerald, right? And this is something that I actually remembered a couple of years ago, which is so crazy.
Mhm.
Because if I listen to all of my compositions that I've been working on
Yes.
throughout all of these years, there's always a small influence of jazz, sometimes more, sometimes less.
Yes.
At the age of 9, there was some magazine that I gave an interview at. And when they asked me who my favorite composer was, I said Bach, Mozart, and Peterson. And this realization, when it came to me, it hit so hard that I somehow realized that it played a major role.
I also caught this clip of you improvising. It's with a friend of yours, Zuka.
Yeah,
Gorgashvili.
he's a great friend of mine. He studies in Finland now. We have been classmates for 5 years.
It's this
We
incredible.
studied in a music school together.
Yeah, and it's this incredible improv you're doing. It says on the style of a Georgian, your national dance, the korumi.
Exactly, chorumi. It's a dance that goes in. It's a 5-beat dance.
That's right. That's
usually,
right. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or 1 2 3 1 2. It
Okay.
doesn't really make a big difference. It could
That's
be
right.
either. Yeah. So it's actually a funny story. We didn't even know the tonality that we would improvise in.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have this small jam session type of improvisational small concert at the Steinway showroom in Tbilisi. We just sat down and we just said, let's do a dance. And we were like, okay, a waltz is probably maybe boring or maybe something that everyone has heard. So if we're doing an improvisation, why not try Forumi? Right? Because it's Georgian and it's ours. And we just look at each other and there have been very rare cases in my life when I've improvised with people and I've instantly clicked. This was one of those rare cases.
So that video, with the capturing, you're doing it live. Like there was no prep for that.
That is us doing it live. Yes, exactly.
Sandro, it's unreal. I was watching it and I just thought, my God, I hope they've recorded it since then. And I hope that you've transcribed it or written it. Like it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's exciting, visceral. Okay, how do you balance composer, score, audience, you? Who gets the priority? Like who's on your mind? How do you strike that balance?
I think I just trust the intuition at this point. Of course, there's the professor. But then again, the professor is there to guide you, not to play for you on the stage. And even though I highly respect my professors and I've learned a lot from them, they're amazing people. But they're there to give you a direction, not to play for you. At the end of the day, you're the guy sitting on the stage and making the decisions, right? And at the end of the day, if the audience falls asleep on your concert, it's your fault, right? And I think that's the main thing, if you choose a program that is not appealing to the audience, or if you choose a program that could be appealing to the audience and you don't portray it in a way that is appealing to the audience. So it's you gotta do it in a way that is effective, and you have to. It's a formula that has many components working together. But at the end of the day, I think it's the intuition that binds them together. If you don't have a feel for the necessary coefficient and the percentage of how everything should be balanced out, dosages, yeah.
Would you be willing to share with us some of your principal teachers, and in particular, share with us 1 or 2 lessons that really stuck with you?
There have been vast amount of stuff that I've learned from all of them. I could say that making sound was the first thing that Lali has taught me. And that would probably have been true. But then again, making and perfecting it is different. Right? And perfecting it is something that I truly believe that it doesn't only come with a teacher, but it only comes with working on yourself as well.
Of course.
But then again, Boris and Antti have taught me how to work on details and on concept. My composition teacher, Maga, she was absolutely vital in introducing me to the huge repertoire of the 20th and 21st century contemporary music. And she introduced me to my own style, and she helped me discover it when I was pretty young. And I can be ever so thankful to her for this. I was blessed in life to have a lot of people that were there to guide me.
Hey, one last
Yeah.
question. Well, I keep saying last question. You know, what do you
go ahead with as many as you want?
I hope. What do you want audiences to take away when they come hear you? Because let's face it, like, you're putting in this work, you are taking the time to do what you do. What are you hoping audiences take away?
You know, I can remember this very nice evening that I spent in Kiev when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
It was Denis Matsuyev playing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that this very quiet and this very beautiful evening in Kiev was absolutely blasted away with this Rachmaninoff third piano concerto that he was performing. And he performed in such a manner that I was almost unable to sleep on the same night, and I was actually supposed to perform on a competition on the next day and on the days afterward, and that gave me such a drive and such an inspiration that I became a laureate of the competition. I won the thing, and the guy became a huge idol for me for the years to come. And every time he would perform, or I would listen to him online, I would get goosebumps, and I would get absolutely charged with positive energy. So the only dream that I would hope to achieve is to have the same effect on everyone that would be attending the Honens competition and would be listening. I hope to serve as a beacon of inspiration and to tell a story. There's a story that will resonate with many people, and a story that will share something that is common for people, something that we can all relate to. I think that is the only thing that matters.
Sandro, that is a near perfect response. Is there anything, Sandro, that we didn't touch on that you want to make sure we just sort of speak about? I got one silly one. What's if there was one piece, and let's say the classical repertoire, if there's one piece that you could erase from existence, that you wish everyone would stop playing and you would never hear again, what would that be?
Balakinas Islami. I hate the piece. Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not even a question. I would erase that with the blink of an eye, just without a thought.
Is there a composer you admire deeply but don't enjoy playing as much?
Wow. No. That is no. I think everyone that I admire, I enjoy.
Also
playing.
Enjoy their writing.
Yeah, I don't see the reason why you shouldn't or you wouldn't.
Is there a musical opinion that you hold, like a hot take, that would probably start an argument?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Many.
Oh yeah. No, there's one that I would probably be lynched if I was if I talked about, but I'm gonna keep it for myself.
Do you have a pre-performance ritual? Something you do right before you go on stage?
A cup of espresso, definitely.
A double or two doubles?
Cup of espresso. Oh no.
Just
doubles and triples. I've had a very bad case of tachycardia. Fortunately, I took the triple espresso after a recital. So the recital was actually finished.
Yes.
And then I drank the espresso.
That must have been confusing. Your adrenaline's coming down.
Yeah.
And you are then pushing it up. Yeah.
But before a concert, it's like a nice cup of small espresso plus a nice cup of water.
Amazing.
That goes just like a blessing. Phil, it was a pleasure to have this wonderful conversation with you.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Sandro. And actually, just so you know, I'm going to be there in Calgary. So I really look forward to hearing you and meeting you.
So we will meet you.
We're going to meet.
Yeah, we'll meet each other.
We're going to meet. I look forward to it.
Nice.
I wish you a wonderful summer and can't wait.
Thank you. You too, Phil. Take care. Have a nice day.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
That was Georgian pianist Sandro Nebieridze. He'll be performing live and on the live stream at the upcoming Honens competition. His semifinal rounds will be on October 18th and October 20th, where he'll be performing works by Ludwig van Beethoven, Frédéric Chopin, some of his own works, as well Felix Mendelssohn and Sergei Rachmaninoff. And that's it for today's episode of Open Lid. In fact, that's it for all of our pre-competition podcast episodes. Things are going to get rolling October 15th to 24th. Put it in your calendars. There will be so many amazing concerts, performances, master classes. I really want to invite you to come out and make Honens your own. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share any of them with your friends and family. I'm pianist Philip Chu, and I want to give a special thanks to Simon McLeod, Jeremy Clark, and Wolfen Financial for their support. I also can't wait to join my live stream co-host, Carmen Morin, as we listen to all of the competitors and the incredible music they're going to make. Until then, keep listening, keep discovering, and remember, keep that lid way, 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 way wide open.